Truth Unveiled here, and today I have a lot to go over with you. We're going to be talking about FEMA and the National Alert System test that will be taking place in October, along with the aftermath of Hurricane Florence, and I'm going to be telling you the truth about all of this, along with the cryptic symbolism that is behind it. But we're here at Time Magazine that says FEMA will test an emergency system that lets President Trump send you text alerts. Now, the report here says you may be getting text messages from President Donald Trump soon because that's exactly what you need. That's the last thing you need. But FEMA, aka the Federal Emergency Management Agency, announced last week that it will conduct a national test of its wireless emergency alerts, or WEA, later this month. However, it was pushed back to October. The text alerts, which are sent to cell phones across the country when there is a national emergency or major weather event, will show up on people's phones as a, quote, presidential alert for some warnings. You're probably already familiar with these types of cell phone alerts. They are the loud noise that go off on your phone when there's an event like a flash flood warning or an amber alert. The new, quote unquote, presidential alerts will function in the same way. And folks, if you've tuned into this channel before within the previous years or so, you know that we've talked about and covered extensively on this network about national emergencies and what they really are leading up to, and that they're all just tests for the big one. Now, will the big one be next month? Of course, only time will tell, but it's important to stay awake and alert to these things and see the warning signs ahead of time. But then it goes on to say that the National Public Warning System, quote, provides the president with the communications capability to address the nation during a national emergency. The national test will use the same special tone and vibration as with all WEA messages, aka like a tornado warning or an amber alert. And if you're wondering, you can't opt out of it because all of the largest wireless carriers plus 100 additional carriers will be participating in the emergency alert systems, or EAS, and quote, the president has sole responsibility for determining when the national level EAS will be activated according to FEMA, meaning that it doesn't just have to be this one time, it can be any other time afterwards or before. But now we're briefly going to go over FEMA's actual announcement about it, where it says nationwide test of the emergency alerting systems, and this was released a few days ago. It says FEMA, in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, they postponed the nationwide test of the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts until October 3rd due to ongoing response efforts to Hurricane Florence. Now, I find this very interesting and suspicious indeed, folks, and you're going to see why when I show you the Economist cover that comes all the way from 1988, when it has to do with October of 2018. And the fact that they would move it, this all sounds staged and planned ahead of time, especially when I also go over you the real truth about some of these hurricanes too, as we've gone over with Hurricane Harvey and Maria in the past. Now, they claim that the test will assess operational readiness of the infrastructure for distribution of a national message and determine whether improvements are needed. Now, it says that October 3rd was the previously scheduled backup date for the test because it was originally supposed to be for today, actually, but then they moved it to October 3rd, and they claimed that it was because of Hurricane Florence. Now, if you would like, you can also take a look at their fact sheet, which I'll link in the description box below, but this gives more information about it. And of course, it tells you that the EAS has been postponed to the backup date of October 3rd, according to them, because it was originally scheduled for today. However, it then says the WEA test message will be sent to cell phones that are connected to wireless providers that are participating. This is the fourth EAS nationwide test and the first national one. Previous national tests were conducted back in November 2011, September 2016, and September 2017, and we went over a few of those in collaboration with the FCC, broadcasters, and emergency management officials in recognition of FEMA's National Preparedness Month. And that's right, September is FEMA's National Preparedness Month. What are they really preparing for? What are they getting ready for? Because FEMA, the same organization that's doing this test, is the same organization that's behind closed doors getting ready for shelters and getting ready for FEMA camps, as we've gone over, in case the government had to shut down and in case they had to declare a national emergency. We've shared with you on this channel about all of the shadow government plans and documents that they already have ready to go, how your government has executive orders that are unconstitutional that have already been passed and signed by your previous lovely presidents. There is also the Rex 84 program, and along with Operation Cable Splicer and Garden Plot that we've also gone over. Now, Rex 84 was an operation that was conducted back in 1984, established on the reasoning that if a quote-unquote mass exodus of illegal aliens crossed the Mexican-U.S. borders, they would be quickly rounded up and detained in detention centers by FEMA. But could that just be people who are victims of hurricanes and national disasters, along with Operation Cable Splicer and Garden Plot? That was done to help control the programs also, and these are the executive orders that if they were to be enacted by a national emergency, your government can pretty much take over everything. So that when a national emergency occurs, whenever that is, they know exactly how to plan it, how to expect, and what to expect from it when it comes to the sleeping sheeple, and to reel everyone into these FEMA camps that are going to be disguised as shelters and shelter centers for people who are recovering from hurricane victims, and units already ready to go, with Walmart that's going to be the head store and probably the only store available for people for purchasing items, that and Amazon, because it's already ready to go with the chip that will be required for purchase. They already have this stuff ready to go, and there's plenty of documentation on this. So again, the question is, what are they really getting ready for? What are they preparing for? Why all of this preparation? Now, last year, we also talked about and covered with Hurricane Harvey how a lot of the people who were victims of Hurricane Harvey were taken to shelters. Was that just preparation for the bigger national emergency when they plan and stage these emergencies and these events all over America real soon? Because now we're here at this article from Newsweek that says Hurricane Florence power outages map update. More than 670,000 still without electricity in North Carolina. And it was the same thing for Hurricane Maria, and last year we also talked about the FEMA barges too. So we see, what is this really preparing for? What is this getting ready for? Especially when I tell you that a lot of the hurricanes and the storms that you see, a lot of them are what? Entity-made, man-made storms.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. The Air Force has gotten great value out of HARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it, and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there, and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it. Inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it. And but that work has been completed.
Because we've also gone over this 97-page report that comes all the way from November of 1966, that comes from NASA itself, where they literally tell you a recommended national program in what? Weather modification. So yes, that's telling you that they use cloud seeding and other methods to change the weather, to modify the weather. They can generate and make false clouds and fake clouds to make it look real into the sky in order to generate weather patterns, in order to create storms. And who else is involved? The Department of Defense is involved, Department of the State, Department of the Interior, Department of Commerce, the National Science Foundation, Department of Agriculture. Sounds like your government is involved with all of these things and with all of these schemes. And we've gone over this document before. If you would like, I will leave this document in the description box below for your records so you can take a look at it on your own time. Again, we're not going to go over all of it, but I am going to scroll through it so you can see exactly what you need to see. Like this paragraph here, over the past 20 years, experiments have been conducted on what? Weather modification, particularly on the effects of seeding clouds with such materials as silver iodide crystals. The results are limited, and under suitable circumstances, it has been possible to augment precipitation by 10 to 20% and to reduce the frequency of fire-producing lightning strokes. And if you go to page 11, you'll see the Department of Agriculture's program and their involvement of it and how they have a ton of money that goes into these programs of how they're modifying the weather. Along with the cell towers everywhere that's used for what? Mind control and spying. You want to know why you feel a certain way at certain times throughout the day? You want to know why you feel so irritable sometimes? You want to know why you're having mood swings? Because it has to do with psychological warfare. It has to do with mental warfare, and it has to do with weather warfare also. Now there's also this document here, a patent that's come out about weather modification that says a nuclear fusion reactor or nuclear fission reactor is used as a heat source. A heat exchanger that contains water to be heated is used for water vapor generation, so they can create fake water vapors. A circulating pipe through which a fluid for cooling the nuclear fission reactor or for conducting heat exchange circulates is then disposed so as to extend in the heat exchanger and be in contact with the water to be heated. Water vapor is thus generated. This water vapor is jetted toward the sky at a state of collimation through a vapor discharge pipe. A cloud for blocking sunlight is formed in the sky from the water vapor jetted to reduce the temperature of the Earth's surface. This enables a weather modification without discharging any greenhouse gas like CO2. And you can actually see some of the pictures right here if you would like to actually take a look at the report for yourself to see that this stuff is some real stuff that's actually real. They actually have the technology for it. Please feel free to do so. Because we're not making this stuff up. This is not some conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy truth. But then there's another report here from October 2010 that's called Operation HAMP or HAMP, which is Hurricane Aerosol and Microphysics Program. It says improving hurricane forecasts by evaluating the effects of aerosols on hurricane intensity. Now, are they actually improving it, or are they helping by cause it and generating them all over the place? Now, this was submitted by Woodley Weather Consultants at some prominent and prevalent universities that was prepared for who? The Department of Homeland Security, the DHS. Oh my goodness, because we know exactly who they work for. Now, this document is over 100 pages long. Of course, we're not going to go over all of it. However, we're going to show you and emphasize how your government is not only controlling these hurricanes through cloud seeding operations and have been for the past 50 plus years now, but how they're able to not only track storms, but help create them and modify them too. Because it says here, HAMP emphasizes aerosols because they have been implicated in the rate of energy transfer within hurricanes. The main sources of energy of these hurricane or tropical cyclones are latent heat released in clouds and sensible heat that's transferred from the warm ocean. And then it goes on to say the latent heat release results from complicated microphysical processes in clouds. It is known that cloud composition, which in turn determines and precipitation forming processes and the resultant heating, depend on atmospheric aerosols such as pollution, dust, and salt. These aerosols affect the cloud composition by determining the concentration and size of water droplets and the ice crystals that's in the clouds. Then they talk about their observational and numerical studies that indicate higher concentration of atmospheric aerosols dramatically intensify updraft velocities and latent heat release aloft in deep maritime convective clouds. And they claim to be doing all this research in order to decrease the storms. But again, problem, reaction, solution. Your government causes the problem and then they offer their own solution. Are they testing these things out in preparation for the big one? Because how many drills have they had within the past couple of years? Drills after drills after drills, after false flags after false flags. And soon enough, we know it's going to be the real thing. Soon enough, we know that it's no longer going to be the boy who cried wolf. Now, will it actually be in October? Of course, we do not know. However, we need to be prepared whenever it is. Last week, we also reported about this, what's going on in Denver, because is it a surprise or a coincidence that around the same time of Hurricane Florence and around this a national emergency test that's going to be conducted in October, well, also was Denver, and how the Denver airport started recently putting up these signs about so-called conspiracy theories, like what's happening behind this wall, gargoyle breeding grounds, a top secret Freemason meeting, and improved airport experience. Yes, Den's got some secrets, and of course they showed the so-called alien right here, and they showed this right here, streamlined security or more secrets. Construction or cover up, and you see the all-seeing eye right there with the pyramid. I'm telling you, what are they really getting ready for? The capping of their new world order. Because what are they doing? Are they adding amazing new restaurants and bars? Are they building an Illuminati headquarters? Or are they remodeling the lizard people's lair? And we've gone over extensively about this in our previous video, and how they're putting the truth right in front of your face. But you can take a look at the video in the description box to learn more about that and what really goes on behind closed doors. Because if you're still donating blood and donating your blood and thinking that it's going to a good cause, it's time to think again. Now, this was the Economist cover that was released back in 1988. And as you can see right here, what does it say? Get ready for a world currency. Then it has right here 10 and 10 spelled TEN 2018 right there. And it shows you what? Cash burning and what? A phoenix rising out of the ashes. And FEMA just so happens to be doing that national emergency test in October of 2018. That's definitely something to look out for indeed. Now, of course, we're not saying anything big is actually going to happen. However, it's important to stay vigilant and stay aware, alert, and awoke to the world around you, and not be ignorant of the enemy's devices, but rather to expose it. And please continue to seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha like never before if you already are not, because I'm telling you this, as you can already see, the spiritual warfare is real. But this is Truth Unveiled here, keeping you updated and saying as always, Shalom.